Hi, I'm Lior of Battery Ventures, and you're listening to The Real World of AI. This is a podcast about how AI is actually being used by practitioners in the real world, how it's helping developers code faster, organizations run smarter, and executives prepare their companies for an AI-first future. Join my battery colleagues and me over the next several episodes as we get beyond the hype and dive into real-world applications of AI. Let's get started.
All right, so today I'm joined by Vishnu Parimi, the head of product for AI at Freshworks. Vishnu has built cloud infrastructure at Microsoft, led generative AI strategy at AWS, and now he's helping bring AI into the hands of thousands of businesses, especially SMBs. While most companies are stuck in AI POCs, Freshworks has deployed to thousands. So in this episode, we talk about how AI is powering internal IT support teams, how it learns over time without needing massive data sets, how Freshworks is measuring actual ROI from automation, and why Vishnu believes the future of AI agent depends on infrastructure as much as models. Let's dive into it. Vishnu, really nice having you today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Lior. Pleasure having.
Before we start the conversation, your career spans building core Azure infrastructure at Microsoft, Ed Platform at Amazon, and AI products at AWS and Freshworks. Tell us a bit about your journey and how these experiences shaped your approach to AI.
Sure. Yep. I started as a computer science graduate, and my journey was building infrastructure for Microsoft Live Services like Bing and Hotmail, which eventually evolved into Azure. That foundation in large scale systems got me hooked on the potential of AI. So, over the last couple of years, I've worked on applying AI to real world problems from marketing automation at Amazon retail scale to building AWS services that boost developer productivity. And now at Freshworks, we're building AI solutions at a larger scale to transform employee experiences across all functions.
Amazing, super interesting. And how did that experience at hyperscalers shape the way you think about deploying AI in kind of more scrappy real world contexts? Because you often interact with small businesses.
Yeah, so it's when we talk about AI, it is about how do we actually, apply or get insights on large scale data, right? Whether it is a small business or a mid-sized business, data volumes are huge and cannot be understood from a manual way. So what we do with AI is we try to automate and gain insights from the data, and now we are also driving actions from those insights to complete that entire loop of generating insights and delivering value or end value to customers.
Got it. I'm curious to ask you about some specific use cases, but before we do that, I want to ask you on something I read about you online, and you've publicly pushed back on the idea that AI will simply replace humans, saying that history has shown technology enabled humans to do more and not put them out of work. So, can you expand on how you see AI augmenting different roles rather than eliminating them?
Yeah, I mean, this is like my perspective, right? Like, I've never seen technology generally displace or replace humans completely, or put humans out of work. To be more precise, like if you have seen, historical technology shifts, uh, humans were trying to do higher service work where a lot of low service work has been automated, and in the short term it looks like we are displacing humans, but really what we are doing is we are upskilling humans to do higher order work. Like you can take manufacturing for example, right, or the steel industry. Instead of manually producing, there's a lot of automation that has come in automating the way cars are assembled in an assembly line, so that humans can do higher order work of making sure the finishing, or maybe also spending more times on developing bigger engines, faster cars. So even in the world of AI, let's take it to computer science, right? Like for example, companies like us, when they talk about customer support, they say that a lot of AI, a lot of work that customer support teams are doing can be automated using AI. But AI is not just automating customer support. AI is also revolutionizing business, where you can actually start launching more products more quicker. Like instead of going from 0 to 50 million previously in potentially 3 or 5 years time frame, now companies are going in 6 months time frame. So that means there's a lot of work that support will get that is not able to handle with the 10 or 20 customer support teams that we currently have. So I always see that velocity has increased both in production, and obviously velocity will increase in support. So as a result, humans will not be able to do 10x work that is anticipated because of AI.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It brings up a feeling that I had recently, and I'm curious what your thought about it is. I feel like many companies are being pressured by board or investors to kind of AI-ify everything. So, how do you decide when to use AI? And if you have a concrete example of a time at Freshwork where you had a case that you decided not to use AI specifically, and why? Because the AI technology wasn't ready, or the use case wasn't the right one.
Yeah, there are a couple of use cases that where we see AI really working well and making a lot of inroads, and there are some use cases that I would say where AI is still maturing to make sure that it's always acting as it is supposed to act in a particular situation. So let's take a couple of examples, right? So for example, while there are like a lot of customer support use cases are widely recognized, employee support use cases are often flying under the radar. So let me give you an example on what would we do with employee support, so that I'll set the context and then talk about which use cases we solve, which use cases we are still trying to solve. So
100% that this show is intended to go kind of beyond the hype. So let's go behind the scenes to talk about maybe one or two use cases where you
yes,
leverage AI at Freshworks.
yeah. So, so let me get into an example, right? Like in an employee support world, a very common example is employee. Let's say they need a employee verification letter for a mortgage application. So, in a traditional world, they'd submit a ticket to a HR department, and somebody from the HR team would manually generate and email that letter. And this usually takes within 24 to 48 hours. Now, with AI, what we are seeing is this experience can become more seamless and instantaneous. So now, employee can simply request a letter in a HR support Slack channel. This is where employees these days tend to collaborate in these modern collaboration channels and put in their requests. And Freddy Freddy is a brand that Freshworks uses for its AI solutions. So I'll be mentioning it multiple times during this podcast. So Freddie understands this request, prompts for a business justification, and then goes to work. And what it can do is it can retrieve role details from Workday, salary information from a payroll service like ADP, and then also uses DocuSign APIs to generate a signed letter. All within seconds, and it delivers right back in the same Slack thread. And now it takes a couple of seconds to get the value versus a couple of days in historical world. And this is how AI has today transformed such simple use cases where we call as what we call as technically zero shot automations. uh, Now there are more complex situations where we are trying to apply AI, but there is a lot of work that is still required to make it act reliably. We can take an example of, for example, a policy or that we need to comply across the company. So let's take an example of a refund policy in a customer support use case, right? And a refund policy has many you know, many criteria on if this is the use case, provide the refund. If this is the use case, do not provide the refund. Now imagine like an AI bot is reading the policy, and it executes the policy well 80 or 90% of the time, but in 5% of the time it goes wrong, in the sense that customer is asking a refund because product was damaged, and somehow AI misinterprets the customer's question, uh, uh, or the feedback that they were giving, and it doesn't provide a refund, or it provides a refund in case where it shouldn't have provided a refund. So both ways are not good from both the customer standpoint and the company standpoint, and that can lead to major brand implications for the company. These are the areas where we are really seeing AI can mature to automate a lot of this stuff, but really there are ways to go before we can completely rely on AI to do these automations.
Yeah, I think it was Sam Altman who said that LLMs would never be deterministic. So there are some use cases that we need guardrails around and maybe workarounds to make sure we provide the right answer. I don't know how you guys thought about it internally when you brought up. I think it's called Freddy, right? The internal AI ops product you've developed. To curious also to learn about, like, if you walk through some of the architecture in high level and how was it built, what's kind of under the hood in terms of the technology, because this era is changing so fast. But I don't know if there are any learnings that we can provide that will be valid a year from now. But for the sake of it,
Yeah, yeah. I can give you a high level idea about what we are trying to do here, right? So, uh, for an employee support system, if you see what it is supposed to do is employee asks questions, and then uh, the AI agent is supposed to find the relevant information or understand what action it has to do, and accordingly, address the question at hand. For this, the way we have built the architecture is, one, you have the base foundational models, right? That's like OpenAI, or any open source hosted model, uh, where it can understand the question coming in from an employee. And then you build an intent detection system that is very specific to a particular domain. For our use case, for example, the employee support use case, the request can be a troubleshooting question, like my Zoom is not working, or my Wi-Fi is down, can you help? Or it can be like a service request, like the one we talked about. I need an employee a verification letter for my mortgage. Or it can just be a follow-up for a previous question. So we have to build this intent detection system that is very specific to a domain. In our case is the support domain. And then there has to be like an enterprise search, like a RAG based search system. Now RAG is implemented in multiple ways. We are getting out of the box RAG tools out there, but really in our use case we had to build our own enterprise search systems that connects to like a SharePoint or a Confluence, uh, because we had to make sure that we are surfacing content that employees are supposed to view. So there is access controls to that content, and you can only surface content that the employees are supposed to view, and not things that are confidential. So we had to build an enterprise search system that understands these access controls before summarizing the relevant content to the employee. Then after that, we had like third party integrations that we had to build for the 1,000+ tools across different employee functions, including IT has its own tooling system, HR, finance, facilities, to take actions on their behalf. And finally, the most important thing was we had to build evaluations, guardrails, explainability, and also in some cases reinforcement loops to tune our model to improve their accuracy over time. And finally, we have to build an analytics solution on top of it to measure the ROI and showcase the return on investment to our customers, because enterprises only start purchasing when they see ROI, and the faster they see ROI, the better it is in terms of adoption of these AI solutions out there.
right. I want to touch on the ROI in a second, but a quick question on your architecture description. Do you have some sort of a anti-failure mechanism where it loops in a person if it identifies that it's gonna answer the wrong answer or it doesn't have an answer.
Yeah. So today, the way it happens is there are multiple ways to look at it, right? Like historically, when we measured ROI or anything uh, for a solution like AI solution like automation, we used to always talk about uh, whether the question has been answered or not. The most important thing there is to understand whether the question is answered correctly or not. And the way we do it today is through multiple ways. So when something is answered, we provide explicit signals for employees to tell us that whether it has helped or did not help in terms of providing this answer. So this is explicit feedback that the model is getting from employees that the model can improve on in the future. The second way we also do look at it is some of these responses uh, employees are not happy with, and they end up creating tickets anyway. So when they do that, now somebody as an agent or an IT agent, they come in and respond to that question. And the models now actually have a feedback saying that, hey, now if this is the response, if a similar question comes up in the future, can we utilize this response and make and deflect it completely in the future? That's the second way we do it. And the third way is what we are finding it as an interesting way to address what we call as abandonment. So let's say a question is answered, but the employee is unsatisfied, but they abandon the conversation there. They don't go and raise a ticket. Now, how do we know whether AI has performed well or not in this? And how? And what we are now trying to do there is we build our own evaluation, a separate LLM to actually see if the answer provided actually answered the question or not. So it's kind of a validation LLM that we are looking into, and this is actually working really well for us in production, where we are able to identify whether a response did truly answer the question or not.
Got it. Super interesting. Can you share a little bit more on the quantitative metrics that you maybe measured and used to see if there is a real ROI, like anecdotes on like faster resolutions or reduced workloads for IT teams? Anything that you can give us some benchmarks around?
Yeah, yeah. So I think the first let me explain like what is our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to actually provide self-service support that prioritizes resolutions. And when you prioritize resolutions, it will ultimately tie to the ROI goals that companies have, because in terms of resolving a particular request, if an IT agent works on it, hourly, they take probably, depending on the support domain, like somewhere between $8 to $10 or even more per hour. And for the same request, let's say if you definitely know that it is being resolved through self-service support, it's probably taking less than a cent for the company in terms of costs. Similarly, in terms of customer value, the way we look at it is, hey, previously a request that was addressed by an agent, how much time did it take before you got a response, versus what is the reduction in time in terms of getting that answer now with self-service support. That materializes as employee satisfaction surveys that we provide. So the two things that we really track are resolution rates and employee satisfaction surveys. And when these two go up, then we know that we are doing a good job in terms of making sure that self-service support is successful in a particular company. Uh, Now, if you go a bit deeper into resolution rate, what we really need to look at there is, are you actually reducing the ticket volumes that are the IT teams or HR teams are regularly seeing? And if that is being reduced, then that means that a lot of these questions that they are getting are self-served in the first place. And the second thing we also look at is, let's say there is uh, an abandonment of self-service and they are moving to a live channel. where a live agent is now looking at that question to provide support. Now we are also looking at analyzing those calls and seeing which of those could have been automated. Like there are a lot of these calls which are like less than 5 minutes in time, and you could see that those were potentially faster resolutions that if the AI system knew how to do it, it could have done it. So we are actually looking at those abandonment rates and how much time it took for the support agents to resolve the request, and the ones that are taking shorter times, we are picking those and seeing if it can be self-serviced in a way that wasn't before.
Interesting. And as a product leader, was it hard to drive adoption after you guys put this to work across like teams internally? And I'm just curious if there was any hesitation from people. Oh, I want to talk to a human being. I want to look at the docs or whatever versus talking to the bot.
Right, right. So, what we have historically seen is if you see support, the way it has matured historically, the way you look at it is uh, companies built native NLP models, and where these models can understand employee request and perform a relevant action, right? And now they are transitioning to use LLMs that have better language understanding capabilities. Depending on where they are at their journey, they are seeing 15 to 30% automatic resolution rates. But even to get these resolution rates, it is important that companies have the relevant data that is required for AI to do the self service. And this is generally a challenge because a lot of companies that we try to build AI solutions for are mostly mid market and small businesses, and AI is only as effective as the data it can access. So we find in these companies, I mean, when you talk about onboarding challenges, right, we find that in these companies either the relevant data doesn't exist or is scattered across multiple systems, and this is the biggest barrier that we have seen to AI adoption, even to get the 15 to 30% deflection rate that we are looking for. Uh, and you know and this is the biggest barrier in these organizations, and this is not technology, it is about creating and consolidating the right data. And this cannot be a one time cleanup effort, it needs to be a frictionless ongoing process where useful data is created incrementally, and AI itself can play a powerful role in enabling this. So I'll give you certain examples that we have done within our company to make sure our products get adopted more widely. So with couple of companies, we said that you have to improve the process. So for example, after ticket resolution, you have to always mandate or prompt agents to generate a resolution summary. Now they don't need to manually do it. Now it can be like this can be an automated thing where they launch a Zoom call and directly upload it to the ticket, and the recorded conversations can be analyzed by AI to generate a summary of it. Right. So that way you're creating data in the system automatically as part of your day-to-day workflows. Similarly, we are also looking at ways where we proactively identify some common support queries each month and suggest two or three popular topics. And support agents can be prompted to create solution articles. And even better, AI can generate the first draft tailored to the organize and that can be tailored to the organization by the agents. So we are trying to reduce the friction as much as possible so that data creation is natural, sustainable, setting foundation for longer term AI success.
Interesting. So you basically created this sort of flywheel because you have small customers with not huge data sets, and you wanted the AI to continuously get smarter and be applicable to many of those customers, I assume, in many verticals.
Yes.
Uh, okay, got it. And how, like, aside from the data side, how quickly can this thing be um, adopted and implemented in a, like, I don't know, like 100 people organization? Is it just simply as pointing the AI to the document repository, integrating to my HR system? How quickly can I see value from it?
Yeah. So Today, I think with the advent of generative AI, the whole process of companies building their own native models to understand the question, and then have the AI respond, that barrier has reduced a lot. So uh, so you can see that a lot of AI solutions uh, are actually doing well in terms of when you actually build a POC, because when what foundation models have done is they've brought AI into the mainstream by lowering this barrier to entry. You can start seeing value without having to train a model from scratch. But however, what we are seeing is moving from a POC or an MVP to an enterprise grade AI application requires much more. AI agents that are built will need guardrails, will need continuous evaluation, and also need explainability, which is a very important topic where whether AI does the right thing or the wrong thing, explaining it on how it has arrived at that solution is very important for customers or employees that are seeing their output to understand why AI has actually given this particular answer. Uh, and now, what has changed really is that the burden of evaluation has shifted from the early getting started phase to the production phase, where real world usage demands consistent performance and accountability. I think this is the true difference between a promising AI POC and a scalable real world AI product lies in the investment teams make in building robust evaluation frameworks, ensuring that the system delivers ongoing value with confidence and clarity. I think in a way, I talk to it as the LLMs are powerful engines, and somebody has to actually create the assembly line to make these AI agents road ready like cars, and that's what
Yeah,
we are in the business of doing for our verticals.
it's an interesting reference. Maybe let's touch on it a little bit more. Like I've read and heard you saying the AI assembly line a couple of times with
Yeah.
regards to your approach. Um, can you double click on what you mean by it? What the different components that make the assembly line, and kind of what's the standard integration layer between those components in enterprise systems?
Yeah. So when I talk about the AI assembly line, it is primarily what you build on top of the foundation models that is already providing a lot of value that can help customize it for the vertical that you're trying to build. And one of the biggest challenges that we had is, like, especially if AI is driving actions, is to actually integrate with all the existing tooling out there, so that uh, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, because if you're reinventing the wheel, it'll take another 20 years for us to build integrations with the existing tools, and then AI applicability will be slow in terms of adoption. So but what we are also seeing is that the AI agent ecosystem is also rapidly evolving, and standardized protocols are becoming essential for enabling agents to work out of the box. So this is again the parallel that I make. Just as the SaaS industry scaled when the providers widely adopted REST APIs for seamless interoperability, the AI agent landscape is seeing similar momentum with emerging standards like MCP and A2A. These protocols are designed to streamline how agents interact with these third-party systems. So by adopting these standards, companies like us can focus on building intelligent business logic for agents rather than spending time on custom integrations, which will accelerate both innovation and deployment. So that's definitely one area around the assembly line that is being the protocols are helping us innovate in terms of building those integrations. And then there is also, when you operate it at this scale, you have to build, like, companies like us build solutions for 70,000 customers, and we have to operate at that scale. So that means you have to build multi-tenancy solutions that are scalable and secure, and we have to build that on top of the LLM models that are there today. And that is a challenge given the latencies that we are seeing. um, across the current AI models, how do we actually make sure that we are providing instant support, and also providing it in a way that is scalable and secure?
Also, how you make sure as organization are changing, they're basically like living creature. You need data to be updated to serve those customers, right? And the end users as things change.
Yeah.
And that's how you've managed to do this, especially with your kind of smaller customers, to make sure they're like the AI tools are up to date.
Right, right. So I think one of the key challenges here is ensuring that, because like I said before, right, AI is as good as the content it gets behind the scenes, or the integrations it invokes behind the scenes. So the key challenge is ensuring that the content remains up to date, which means regularly deleting outdated information, managing versions, and ensuring that search system always indexes the most current material. The first step is automating cleanup of existing content. It's actually a low hanging fruit, yet surprisingly most companies overlook it entirely. Give you simple examples, right, like that we have seen in the real world when we are working with mid market customers or SME customers. Like documents, for example, that never appear in employee search results can be archived or removed. This never happens in a company. And duplicate or outdated content that has a newer version should also be identified and cleaned up. So these things probably are not directly related to AI, but really some automations that they can do to clean up data, and it's actually very low hanging fruit that companies can work on. And then there is the next and more critical step in my mind is proactively keeping content current as products evolve or policies change. So this is where AI can make a significant impact. Take product documentation or marketing assets, for example. When there's a new feature launch, teams often forget to update older content that may now be outdated or inconsistent. In fact, at Freshworks, we recently faced an escalation when an investor noticed conflicting information about which pricing plans included our newly launched AI feature. What happened really was during beta, we tested that feature across several plans, but ultimately launched it only in our highest tier plan. But we failed to update all relevant website content. Now, AI can avoid these pitfalls by scanning previously published content, identifying materials related to recent changes, and either flagging inconsistencies or auto updating them based on this new release data. I think this is where it creates a powerful flywheel where AI systems are always referencing the most accurate and relevant content.
That's super interesting. One last question I have on this topic is if you've got a feeling or data on how your end customers are leveraging your AI capabilities on their end, and if they're seeing similar results to what you're seeing internally.
Yeah, we so most of the so when we look at our end customers, right, like um, Freshworks, the type of customers that we operate with are SME and mid-market companies, often in industries like higher education, credit unions, travel, and logistics. Uh, since building custom support solutions isn't their core competencies, they look out for out of the box tools that work seamlessly with minimal setup or onboarding. And that's where they come to us to build these solutions. What we are generally saying is we want to make sure that, when it's a single click approach where, you deploy the solution in where employees are commonly working, and it can be Slack or MS Teams or any other channel that the company internally has, and you start seeing value immediately, and obviously AI becomes better over time. So what we are generally seeing is we are generally seeing almost resolution rates up to, at the beginning, for like very common L1 requests, we are able to see it from day one up to like 15 or 20%. But really over time, as we talked about, improving their content repository, and trying to keep their data fresh and improving processes within the company, we are able to see automation rates up to 40 to 60% for companies.
Amazing. I think this so far has been like a super interesting conversation. I want to shift focus to my last part where we'll try to do like a more like a fireside chat. When I'll ask you some more uh, high level questions and prediction about AI, and feel free to answer whatever you feel comfortable. Um, I'll just shoot you some of the questions, and let's see if you've got some thoughts. So the first one, and maybe the obvious one, is when we'll see something that resembles AGI, if ever.
It is when we solve the predictability that I talked about, right? Reliability and predictability of AI applications, being able to uh, provide a reliable answer most of the times. I think we are not far from the world of AGI. It's just that the brain is there and it's evolving, but then you have to put the guardrails on top of it that will work for the domain that you are applying AI
Right, that could be scary.
on.
What do you think in the next 24 months hold for AI in the enterprise?
So sorry, what's the question? Can you
What do you think the next 24 months hold for AI in the enterprise? Like I'm saying like increased adoption and people moving from sandboxing to more production. I'm curious if you're seeing like more like linear adoption, you're seeing this blowing up exponentially. What's your feeling?
Yeah, I think, like I talked about, right, with the rise of generative AI, we have reached an exciting inflection point. We are moving beyond what we call as zero-shot automation, where AI understands the request and solves it in a single step, to something more powerful. Most real-world scenarios require, multi-turn conversations. So where the AI gathers missing details through back and forth dialogue before taking an action. The technical term we use for this is few-shot automations. This evolution will unlock the ability to automate more complex scenarios that will involve reasoning, context, and decision making. And I think this is the next frontier for AI, where you automate things that were not automatable before.
Interesting. Do you think AI agents will eventually replace frontline support reps entirely, or will human will always be in the loop, specifically on support?
I think the it will not replace frontline reps in the sense that the way we are discussing today, it will probably replace the job that they are doing right now. Instead of answering customer questions, they are probably building AI agents in a way to answer a lot of these questions at scale. So, and for that, you actually need humans to actually make sure they build AI agents, manage AI agents, and deploy AI agents. It's like every support agent, like we in the historical world, every business person has become a developer to go through the e-commerce revolution. I think every support agent will become like the person who builds and manages AI agents rather than directly interfacing with people.
Interesting perspective. What are you personally most excited about in the AI space today? It could be anything, not necessarily enterprise applications.
I am generally personally excited about its possibilities and its applications. I think go way beyond the ones that I'm already seeing. Right, like I am seeing a world where today a lot of business logic or automation happens either through scripts or through workflows, or which are not easy to write, and often you need somebody technical enough to rely on to do these automations. I'm seeing a world where all this complex business logic can be replaced by policy documents that are written in native language that everybody can understand. And uh, and then any things like if you see in the support domain, like a non-technical function like HR, finance, or facilities will not need require the help of IT teams to create and manage this automation, and this will totally unlock the power of automation when you put it in hands of every person out there.
Got it. Interesting. Vishnu, it's been a really interesting and thoughtful conversation. I think that's a wrap on today's episode. I'd like to thank Vishnu Parimi for giving us a real world view of how AI is delivering value, not just in theory, but in production at scale for businesses of all sizes. We've got more guests coming who are building AI that works, not just demos. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Lior. Appreciate the opportunity for coming in and explaining, how Freshworks is delivering value to their customers through AI.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vishnu.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.